Not really sure. Let's see. Yay, we are live. Super duper. Okay, so hey guys, I hope you can hear me. I just wanted to sit down with you all because I have not filmed a video in about a month, which is probably the longest time I have ever gone on my YouTube channel without filming a video. And I just wanted to sit down and do a little catch-up video and chat to you about sort of what's been going on, and also just find out what you guys have been up to. I feel like I've actually been away for so long, so I'm just sitting in my bedroom. You can tell because I've got the Harry Potter on the bed sheets. It's my room, very exciting. And I just wanted to catch up with you all. I feel like I've really missed the booktube community, and I have good reason for not having uploaded a video. But it's been a while, and this is definitely the longest break I've ever taken, and I just wanted to chat to you. I just wanted to kind of sit down and have like an immediate conversation, hence why I'm trying out this live show situation. Let's see how it goes. I hope you can all hear me because I've got a little bit of a tiny microphone that is not the best on my phone, but fingers crossed you can hear what I'm saying and we're okay. Let me know if you can. Yeah, I just wanted to sit down and just chat with you all on this lovely sunny, not sunny, it's actually really rainy day here in England. Yeah, not a nice day. It's actually been really lovely until recently, but today is not that day. However, it's very nice with natural lighting because I have no lights except my bedroom light on, and I just have, yeah, the sunlight or cloud light coming in. So hi guys, how have you all been? What are you all reading right now? Tell me all about it because I really want to know. And I'll just chat to you and we'll just have a little bit of a dialogue going on and see what we think. So have I read Kings of the Wild? Is that the one by Kings of the Wild with a Y? Am I making that up? I think I have read that one. I might have to check, but I think I have read that one. I've forgotten the name of the author. Is the next one Bloody Rose? Nicholas Eames, is that right? I think that's the series you mean. If so, yes, I have read Kings of the Wild. I liked it, it's fun, but it's definitely a bit of a older, like the characters are older, but it's definitely a bit more of a like sarcastic play on what I would say is a, I don't know, fairly typical kind of sword and sorcery story. It has a lot of tropes and it has a lot of things like that, I guess, like tropes and sarcastic things, and the characters are all very snarky and very what's the word I'm looking for, like jaded, I suppose. They've all been doing stuff for a long time and they feel like they know the industry really well, and they're kind of a little bit, yeah, just jaded overall. So yeah, that one is a good one, but I think for me the humour didn't work that well. I would like to read the second one because I've actually heard good things about the second one as well, and I do own it somewhere on my shelves. So I will definitely get to that at some point, but I haven't read it yet. So yeah, I hope that answers your question. Thug, I saw someone say The Hate You Give. I read that recently actually. I haven't done a review on my channel yet. I read it, was it January or February? One of those months. And I loved that book. I was completely blown away by how much I loved it, especially since I do not really read contemporary. It's just one that I've had on my shelf for ages, and I was feeling like I didn't want to read something fantasy. I wanted to mix it up somehow, and I read The Hate You Give, and I was like, wow, okay, this is the kind of contemporary, oh, excuse me, contemporary fiction that I would definitely like to read. So yeah, I really enjoyed that. I hope you enjoy that. Hazelwood I have also read, and I wasn't as big a fan of that one. It wasn't for me, I think. Maybe because it's kind of skirting the line between like a fairy tale and magical realism, and I don't know, I feel like those are things that are very precious to me in a way because they're things that I grew up with. They're like childhood stories, and I think to twist and turn a fairy tale, you have to be very good at what you're doing, and I think that the Hazelwood for me went a little bit in a strange direction. I didn't really like the approach it went to, so personally it wasn't my favourite, but I do have a lot of friends who really enjoyed it, so I hope you enjoy it more than I did as well. So yeah, I've been rambling about me and books, but I wanted to tell you guys what's been going on with what I've been reading as well. So I have mainly been reading SBFBO titles at the moment, although I have read a couple of different ones sort of in between as well. I've got my laptop next to me, so if I look down, that's what I'm looking at. Just so that I can remember what I've read in the time I haven't been here, because I feel like there's loads that I've just not actually told you guys about, because I haven't really been on YouTube for the last month. So what am I currently reading? Let's start with that. So I'm currently reading Aching God by Mike Shell, which is the last of the SBFBO finalists for this year that I need to read. So far I'm not really sure what I think. I only started it last night, so it's definitely going to be an interesting one, but I don't know how I'm feeling about it yet. And then the next one I'm reading right now is The Ruin of Kings by Jen Lyons, which is one that I've not really seen many people talk about actually review. So yeah, if any of you guys have read that, I'd love to hear your comments on it, because I started it and then I've been taking a little bit of a break from it because I was reading something else. I read the Sarah J Maas one, the Court of Wings and Ruin, or whatever that is, because I was having a bit of a reading slump. There's been loads going on, basically. I'll tell you about it. Why not? Let's just tell you guys about it. So my partner and I, who you would have seen in my latest video, I think, because we did a live show together, we are actually planning to buy a house, and we have started the process of buying a house. We found a house, we got our offer accepted, but there is a long way still to go with buying that house. We're hoping to move in July into this new house, which, let me just say guys, like, I love this new house, so I really hope everything goes well with it and we get it. And yeah, like, we've just got to do all the legal side. But because we've been house hunting and basically out all the time looking at houses and trying to decide what do we want, what money do we have, all this sort of stuff, we just haven't been home, and I haven't been reading, and I feel like I've really missed it. And I love reading. It's definitely my escape in the evenings. It's the thing I love for myself, to just cozy up in bed or on the sofa or wherever I am and just sit and read. It's my thing, and I've really missed it. And also YouTube, again, it's something I haven't been able to do because we haven't really been home. Like, this is our flat. I feel like I've not seen it in weeks because we've been out and we've been doing stuff, and it's just been a bit mad. So yeah, we just really want this house. Now that we've decided that we're getting this one, that's good, because it means that although there's lots to do, we can kind of calm down a little bit and just be like, right, so we need to do this, we need to do that. But it's not as hectic as like being out every evening looking at houses, trying to decide what area we want to be in, all that kind of thing. So I'm really happy that we have got the house, hopefully. It's about, yeah, a couple months before we're going to move in. We're moving in July, and hopefully once we move in, I will be able to set up a really dedicated YouTube booktube corner in one of the rooms. There's so much more space in this house than we have right now, which means more bookshelves, yay! So lots of exciting stuff to come. However, in the meantime, leading up to that, you may get a little bit of a sporadic content from me, just depending on kind of when I can sit down and film. So that's why I'm doing a live show, so that I can just chat to you guys and feel like the immediateness. So let me look at some of your comments, because you've been commenting loads whilst I've been rambling on. And I've got the YouTube thing open over here, so let's have a look. So so Angela's currently reading Daughter of Tuscany, which I've actually never heard of, so I hope you enjoy it. You'll have to let me know what it is. I've not really read much historical fiction. I feel like that is an area that, when I was a teenager, I was really into historical fiction. When I was sort of in school still, secondary school, I read a lot of historical fiction. I really enjoyed it, actually, and I found it to be kind of very fascinating because I like periods of history. I think that's why fantasy resonates with me, because of the time it is set in periods of history. Particularly I like sort of Tudor, Victorian, Elizabethan, Renaissance, ancient history. I like all of those different periods. There's a lot of periods of history that I like, especially like books that go back to those periods. So I think historical fiction is one of those sort of genres that I do very much enjoy, but I haven't really read an awful lot of it recently, especially in the last few years, but I do like it, so I hope you enjoy that one. What sort of time period and everything is it set in? Presumably it's in Tuscany, but I don't know much about Tuscany at all, so I'd be interested to know. Are you going to attend the London Book Fair next week? I'm actually not going to the London Book Fair. I've never been. I was invited to speaker. That's a good question. I think the SF Masterworks, some of them are quite tricky. So, oh, hang on. I think we're losing signal. Why are you doing this? No. Let me just see if I can bring us back. Oh, here we go. I think it's coming back now. Are you coming back? We're coming back. Okay. Maybe it's just my computer having a moment. Let's refresh the page. Okay, yeah, it's just my computer having a moment. We're good. Right, let me go back to where I was. So, SF Masterworks. Yeah, SF Masterworks are tricky ones because they're all quite technical, I would say. At least the ones I've read, which admittedly is not that many. But the ones I have read, most of them are very technical. They have a lot of tricky words and things like that. So if you are a non-native English speaker, then it might be a bit of a challenge. My advice would be maybe get a Kindle version so that you can click on a word and sort of look it up as you need to. Obviously, if it's a fantasy word that they've made up, you'll never know. But we're all in the same boat with fantasy words, whether we're English or not, because they make no sense at all. But I think, yeah, definitely getting the Kindle version is a good way to do things. I think I really enjoyed Sherry S. Tepper's series, Grass and something Arabi. Is Arabi the series? I like that series, so I would recommend that one. I'd also recommend anything that's by Ursula K. Le Guin. I really like her, and I think she's one that's quite approachable, although she has really complex ideas. I think her writing is not too difficult to get into, so yeah, I definitely recommend her as well. What else have we got on this list of stuff? So, someone is reading Gathering of Shadows by V.E. Schwab. I'm afraid I'm not a big V.E. Schwab fan, so I'm probably not the one to talk to about her. I don't find her books really work for me. I think it's a combination of, I find them quite predictable, which I find with a lot of YA anyway, and some adult to be fair, but I really find hers very predictable, and I think that I'm not a big fan of her writing style. I just find it is too simple. I don't know. That's maybe just my personal taste. I just don't think she does enough with her ideas. She has really, really good ideas, but she doesn't seem to really push them to the point where I'm like, wow, that's great. I just see like the flicker of great ideas and then it never quite pays off with her. So that's what I found from reading quite a few of her books, and I've kind of given up a little bit on us ever having a great relationship, like her being the author, me being the reader. I don't know. I'm sure she is an absolutely wonderful person, but personally her books just don't resonate with me. So, oh well. Someone is about to start Black Leopard Red Wolf. I am so intrigued by this book, guys, because I keep seeing it everywhere and people keep kind of showing it off in videos. Even though I've not really been on BookTube, I've been watching BookTube occasionally when I can fit it in. And the book cover is beautiful. The author is obviously really well kind of esteemed in the literary world. So I really want to know what he does in this fantasy world. But I tried to get the audiobook, or at least I listened to the sample. I wasn't a big fan of the narrator for it. So I'm not sure I'm going to get the audio. I feel like it's a book that is probably better read. But let me know, guys, what you think. If you have read it, the premise of it sounds good, and it is one of the ones that I had on my anticipated releases. But I'm just not sure how I'm going to feel having a literary writer come into the fantasy genre, and whether they'll be able to do it justice, because literary is often very over the top, and I suppose that fits for fantasy, a series that some of you might have read or some of you might have heard of. Especially if you do like sort of Alice in Wonderland, it's a good one for that. Gosh, my computer is being really slow today. What else? Congrats on the house. Thank you. We haven't actually got it yet, so we've started the process of buying this house, and it's a long process. I never realised And I feel like this is something that they should tell you in school or something, sort of how to get a mortgage, how to buy a house, like what the process is. Because it's just something I knew nothing about, and I just, yeah, I don't know how you do this sort of stuff. I feel like I'm really under-equipped to buy a house or anything. So yeah, thank you for the congrats. Obviously I'll let you guys know once we actually have got the house and we've exchanged and confirmed and everything that it's gonna go ahead. But yeah, that's kind of where my head is at right now. It's just all over the place trying to think about this house and yeah, what we're gonna do when we move in. I've got lots of plans for where I can put bookshelves in the house, and where I can film in the house, which will be good. So yeah, lots of options, and I'm very much excited to get to it. But yeah, for the meantime, we're just hoping that we can figure out everything. So yeah. What else have we got on this list? So, what do you think of the title for my book, Reign of Snow Leopards? I think it sounds cool. I think that sounds cool as well, if your book is to do with snow leopards. I don't think I've ever really read... Have I read any books that feature leopards as a big key point? I'm not sure I have, to be honest. I recently read Adrian Tchaikovsky's... What's the name of that series? It's the one with the wolf on the cover. You guys will know the one I mean. I'm gonna have to look on my Goodreads to find out what it's called because I've forgotten. But come on, Goodreads, never let me down. The Tiger and the Wolf. Yeah, I recently read The Tiger and the Wolf by Adrian Tchaikovsky, and that series is based around a world where we have these people, but they can transform into animals. So there's wolven people, people who can be snakes and horses and various other animals around the world. The world is very much based, like, because these people have these abilities to transform between an animal form and a human form, the whole world is kind of built on the hierarchy of the animal kingdom as well. And I really like the series. I think Adrian Tchaikovsky is a great author. I've read quite a few of his different ones, but I really, really enjoy his storytelling. I haven't read his original series, but I definitely enjoyed the... Why do all the names escape me when I'm doing a live show? When I'm sitting down and I'm filming my reviews, I usually do them in one take and I only have to edit out small bits. But when I'm doing a live show, I forget the names of everything that I'm trying to say to you guys. Oh well. I haven't read Shadows of At series, that's the one I meant. But I'm not sure if that's going to be a series for me. I know a lot of people who do like his other stuff have said that they don't like that series. I have read The Children in Time. Well, the first book in that series, because the second one is out later this year, I think. And I really enjoyed that. I also really enjoyed that other book by him that I gave 5 stars to that I can't remember the name of. It's something to do with war. The name isn't, but the book is. Anyway, Guns of something. Guns of War? I don't know. Guns of something. That's the one that I really liked by him. But yeah, this series, Tiger and the Wolf, is really, really fun, and I found it a very interesting series. I didn't love it as much as I've loved some of his other stories, but I think that's just because it's a completely new world where we're thrown in and we just have to sort of sit down and actually just get into it. And I feel like sometimes the first book in a series, it takes a while for you to really get into. So yeah, I enjoyed it, but buy her at some point. I just haven't really got round to it. I think hers is actually a series that kind of draws on fairy tales from what I remember people saying, and it's a series a lot of people seem to really, really enjoy if you like classic fantasy, sort of older writing styles, that sort of thing. So yeah, definitely seems like a series that a lot of people have sort of recommended in the past. I think it deals with that legend of the girl who became a swan or something like that. Maybe making this up entirely, but I think when I started reading it before, that's what I got vibes of, maybe. Thank you, I hope I get the house too. Keep your fingers crossed for me. It's a German book set in the 1850s in Tuscany. Super interesting, and romance is super slow burning. That's quite good about romance. I definitely find romance in books can be a really hit or miss subject with me. Sometimes I love it, and I'm like all about this partnership, but sometimes I just, I want to smack them in the face because just annoy me so much or something. I'm like, oh, why? Just shut up, you know? Sometimes I think we all feel a bit like that, not only with, you know, books, just people in general who get into relationships that are just bad for them. It's funny. But yeah, sometimes it's just, you just want to go, come on, guys, don't be together, or yes, you're perfect for each other, just realize it, something like that. Romance actually doesn't happen in too many of the books I read. There is often a small amount, but it's not usually the focus, mainly because I don't like romance as the focus. I think the adventure is a lot more fun. But with that being said, there have been some books I've read which have really good romances. The Sarah J Maas series that I just finished reading, I forget the name of the series, but it's like The Court of whatever. The Court of Wings and Ruin, I think, is the most recent one, and that's the one I just finished. And yeah, I mean, the characters who are main characters in that, I just find them a bit too sickly sweet at times. I'm like, oh, come on, guys, get over yourselves. Like, have an argument or something, please, because it's just not realistic. And they do have small arguments, but yeah, not me. What else have we got? I hope you enjoy Sherry S. Tepper. Ghost Wall by Sarah Moss. I actually haven't heard of that one. I've heard of the author, Sarah Moss, but I've not heard of Ghost Wall. Is it a new release by her? I'm intrigued. I really haven't read many of her books. Did I start reading one? I think Eleanor and I started reading one of her books a while ago, and we weren't that big a fan of it, but I think Eleanor has since read some of her other books and enjoyed them more, potentially. I know Mercedes is a big fan of them. I'm, yeah, not sure she's my thing, but I hope you enjoy her. Hi, suggest a good book on typography. Oh, blimey. I actually had quite a few books on typography because when I was in university, I studied graphic design. I actually have a degree in graphic design, and so I do know quite a few books on typography, but one of the best ones that I ever found was Just My Type. I can't remember the name of the author, so you'd have to Google it, but Just My Type was a really good fundamental book on typography that we read a lot on my degree course. So yeah, if you're interested in typography, what a lucky question that I happen to know the answer to. I hope that helps. What else? Thanks for all the recommendations in the last year. No problem. I love doing recommendations. It's the main reason that I do my channel, is just because I love chatting to you guys and getting recommendations from you guys and then telling everyone else about them when I've read them. I'm quite lucky in that when I do have the time to read, I'm a fast reader, so I can read very quickly through books that probably take other people a bit longer. I'm very good at kind of taking in a lot of information, I suppose, and remembering quite a lot of it in the moment. Now, the problem I have is because I read so many fantasy books and they all have so many different names and cultures and magics and worlds and all this stuff, I thought we are buying. They had some amazing books on their bookshelf. They had the Demon Cycle series by Peter V. Brett, the George R. R. Martin series, quite a few fantasy series, and I was like, yeah, you know what? I can get on board with these people. They are my kind of people. And that was obviously a very minor part of why we're buying the house. In fact, it was basically not a consideration, but yeah, it was such a really cool thing, and I loved seeing all the fantasy books, all the other books in people's houses. You also go to some people's houses when you're like house hunting that you think, oh my god, how can people live like this? Because we went to one person's house where, I mean, I'm not a smoker and I don't have anything against smokers, but personally I don't like people who smoke in their own house. If they can help it, if they have like a porch or something, I would rather they went outside to do it, just so the whole house doesn't smell of it. And yeah, we went to one like couple's house. They were an elderly couple in fairness and probably didn't have as much mobility as some, but oh my goodness, you just could not breathe in that house, and it was horrendous. Like, there was clutter everywhere. It's just, oh, you know, when you walk into somewhere and you're just like, oh gosh, get me out. That's what I felt like going into that house. So we saw a few that we were like, hell no, we're never ever ever going to get that house. And then we saw a few where we're like, you know what, this is really nice, but we would change that, or we would change this. It's a really interesting process, and you get to learn a lot about people just from going around their house and sneaking around and seeing what they've got everywhere. So yeah, it was a lot of fun actually. I enjoyed the house hunting bit, but stressful as well, trying to figure out what do we want, what do we need to do. So crazy. What else? Should I buy the Lightbringer books? Do you like them? I really like the Lightbringer series, actually. It's one of my favourite series. I'm very eagerly anticipating the last one. So I would recommend them. However, I do think they are a complex series. The magic system is quite complicated to wrap your head around, and there's a lot of characters. So it depends if you like that style of writing. If you do like a big epic fantasy with so much magic and so much going on, you'll probably enjoy it, but if you don't, then maybe not. And also, it's not so much like big, grand, mass people battling. It's more kind of, yeah, I don't know. It's not the kind of book that works for everyone. I've got some friends who've read it and they don't seem to really click with it because they find it a bit too complicated or something like that. I don't know. Yeah, I'm not a big fan, so yeah. Or I am a big fan, but they're not a big fan. That's what I mean. So yeah, let me know what you think. Other things. Someone asked, have I read any of the Discworld books? And yes, I have read the Discworld books. I've read the first 4 or 5 in the series, chronologically speaking. So yeah, definitely I like the Discworld series. I think it's a lot of fun, and I personally I haven't read as many as I want to because I actually own a lot of them. I think I own about 15 or so, but I haven't read them just because they're kind of, I don't know, they're books I associate with summer for some reason, and I'm sure there are some that are set in winter, but I've always read them in the summer, so I usually tend to read them more in the summertime. I'm sure I'll get back to the series at some point. It is a series that has a lot of satire and fun, and I think that's great. So I definitely recommend the Discworld books, but it's not a series that I've read all of them or anything like that, you know. I've got plenty more to read still. So if you have recommendations of your favourite Discworld books, let me know. What else? Favourite manga. Now, I don't read much manga, not because I don't like it. I have actually enjoyed the mangas I have read, but because it's expensive in the UK to get it, so I don't know. It's just not my personal taste. Mainly because it's so expensive. It's like graphic novels and manga are kind of in this, so yeah, if you want me to do a book haul, I can do that as well. I think that definitely is something I am pretty interested in doing, but yeah, I don't know. I think that is a good thing. So hang on, I think I can get to the comments in here. Live chat. Nope, that's how to turn me into black and white. That's not what I want. I don't know. Never mind. Okay, guys. Well, thank you all so much for watching. I'm going to say goodbye for now, and I will see you all again soon in another video. Bye, guys.